Good morning and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. Another very cold morning, but warmer days are ahead. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm your host, Monica Adams. The show is the Real Monica Adams Show. We start off for you weather and we do news you can use. We've got some sports news talking about the Billikens and the Blues today. And yesterday I forgot to do the National Day of Calendar. Yesterday was National Spouses Day. So I hope you took care of your significant other. And then we get into a really powerful segment today. We're going to talk about Lydia's house. And for those of you that know, I was most recently involved in an anthology book called It's About Time, Powerful Voices, Pivotal Moments. Kelly Lamb is the one that got all of these really beautiful, inspirational women together. And in that book, when you purchase a paperback or a hardbound or the ebook, there are a portion of the proceeds that go to Lydia's house. And I'm not sure if you know about Lydia's house. If you don't, that is why we want to bring our guest on this morning, helping those women and children in domestic violence situations. And you're going to be very surprised how often this happens in our world. So what can we do as a community? That's what we're going to talk about today. If you know someone that is in that situation, we'll talk about how we can get them out of it. Again, all about kind of getting out of our own way, as we always say, and making sure that we listen and we see other things that are going on with friends and family, and then step in any way that we can. So we'll be talking about Lydia's house here coming up in about 10 minutes. Let's get to the weather. Now, we're not talking about snow coming in, which is good after everything that we've already seen. My husband, however, tried to leave this morning, and I looked and I was like, why are you still here? Well, there was a lot of wind overnight. And for those of you that know the driveway that I've talked about for a long time, it evidently blew the snow right back on the driveway. And so he's like, I got to shovel again. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yes, that may have happened. You may have seen some drifts in the snowbanks as you are traveling this morning. I was out yesterday. We went to see mom. A lot of you have been asking how she's doing. She's better, getting her up doing the therapy. And when we went to go see her, the entrance and the exit ramps are still really dicey. So if you can stay home, which is why we're home, we're keeping our team and our guests safe today. Still a little dicey on the roads. MoDOT, IDOT, the city street departments, all looking to do their job. But today, though, warming up to 30, which is great. We still drop down, though, in those single-digit temperatures. Tonight, down to 4. Tomorrow, 30 again. Nice to see the sun coming out today, mainly, and then into tomorrow, partly sunny skies. We go down to 8. Thursday, it's cloudy. It's going to be 20 degrees. And I told you it was 0 for a low on Friday. I told you that might change, and it did. Now we're talking 13 and partly sunny skies on Friday. But as you can see, down to -2. That is actual temperature, not wind chill, -2 Friday evening. We get into Saturday and it's a first alert day because of how cold it is as you wake up Saturday morning, down to 2 Saturday night. And then we get into next week. By the way, that's when we get into February. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're talking about warmer temperatures as far as precipitation. Back in the forecast as a possibility on Tuesday as a mix, Wednesday, maybe some light snow. But right now it's only 20%. So we're sitting at a pretty low percentage. We'll check in with our aspiring meteorologist, hoping he's feeling better. You know, a lot of you were asking how he was doing and sending him well wishes as he had a fever the other day. So we did the weather on Monday, hoping he'll be back with us on Friday, and we'll talk about what it looks like as we get into February. Well, obviously that is the main story, is just the Arctic air that's returning. Again, as we look into this weekend, frigid days are ahead. The coldest again, as we said, into the weekend. So that means we want you to do everything that you've been doing over the last few days. Check in on the elderly. Make sure those pets are inside. Check with the transportation aspect. If you are flying out, make sure that you check with your carrier. Again, as much as we can stay off the roads, that allows the crews to do their part. So we are talking about many levels of our authorities out and helping. We're going to start the news with a water rescue on an icy pond near New Baden, Illinois. That was called off due to the cold temperatures. The search for a man who fell into the pond on Monday was called off. Authorities say a 20-year-old fell into a frozen pond off of Clinton County Line Road, which is near the border of Clinton and St. Clair counties, on Monday afternoon. St. Clair County EMA head Herb Simmons said they are not sure how the 20-year-old ended up in the water. Dive teams were called to the scene. A warming bus was at the scene to help the first responders stay warm amid the cold temperatures. About 7:30 last night, the search was called off due to the cold. Authorities say they will be pivoting to a recovery mission on Tuesday. So again, trying to go out, but as we've been mentioning, anyone that works out in these elements, it's very difficult to do their job, and that's exactly what our first responders found yesterday. Also, if you're in the Maplewood area, maybe you were trying to get out and about and you might have had to reroute yourself because of a water main break. So South Big Bend and Maplewood heads up closed due to a water main break. Maplewood police say South Big Bend, it's between Manchester and Reynolds Avenue, closed in all directions. They recommend you use alternate routes if you have to get out. Again, closed. This was a breaking news story last night. So I would check with authorities, or if you know anybody that is driving out into that area, have them text you or call you if you do have to get out to find out the latest. And as well, if you do tune in to our friends over at KMOV, they will bring you the latest on the developments as well. Again, this was a story that popped up late last night. All right, we're looking not only in our immediate area, but all throughout the country. And this is the thing that I mentioned on Friday that I was worried about. You know, we talk about people that have to be outside. We talk about homeless people hoping they can get into shelters. 30 people already reported dead from the effects of the winter storm as more freezing continues and pummels the United States. Deep snow over a foot in a 1,300-mile swath from Arkansas to New England halted traffic, canceled flights, triggered wide school closures yesterday. You're going to see a lot more closures again today. The National Weather Service said areas north of Pittsburgh got up to 20 inches of snow, faced the wind chills as low as minus, are you ready for this? 25 degrees, and that's Fahrenheit, late last night into today, and many are facing another night of the below freezing temperatures. Again, at least 30 deaths already reported, and they're unfortunately seeing the rising death toll, including 2 people run over by snow plows in Massachusetts and Ohio. Fatal sledding accidents that killed teenagers in Arkansas and Texas. A woman whose body was found covered in snow by police with bloodhounds after she was last seen leaving a bar in Kansas. And in New York City, officials said 8 people were found dead outdoors over the frigid weekend. A lot of you might also still be without power. There were hundreds of thousands without power, actually more than 560,000 in the nation last night at last check. In Mississippi, officials scrambled to get cots and blankets and water and generators to warming stations in some of the hard-hit areas in the aftermath of the state's worst ice storm since 1994. This is in Mississippi. At least 14 homes, a business, 20 public roads had major damage. By the way, the University of Mississippi, where most of the students hunkered down without power last night, they canceled classes for the entire week as its Oxford campus remained coated in ice. So again, we know we've got family and friends all over the United States that you have watched this show, and that's what they're dealing with. So again, we mentioned more to the south that they were dealing with ice. And then for us, obviously, it was a lot of snow. If you didn't tune in yesterday, feel free to let us know what you got at your house. And if you are outside of our St. Louis City or our Southern Illinois area, let us know what you got there as well. And like I said, in the south, it was much more talking ice and still dealing with all of that today. So, we always do the story when I was in news with chiropractors talking about when you're shoveling snow, how to do it properly to not have strain on your back. But I also want to stress this from a health news standpoint. This is why the cold weather can strain your heart. Experts say anyone with underlying medical conditions like heart disease or high blood pressure should avoid exertion in the cold weather. Whether it's shoveling snow, de-icing your car, winter weather can be especially hard work, and it's especially taxing on the heart. There's a doctor in the Cleveland Clinic that said our bodies are working to maintain core temperature in the cold, and that strains the heart. And this is a quote: "You're going out into very chilly weather, which it could also be a very different climate than you're accustomed to. So that's a stressor to the body trying to do something that's incredibly challenging. So as blood vessels constrict in the cold, both blood pressure and heart rate rise. For those who already have heart problems, those changes could be very dangerous." Again, do not underestimate the weather if you go outside. Or I would say, and a lot of people are like, well, what am I going to do? Either I would say, look and see if there's a neighborhood kid, because this is what we all did, right? When we were young, see if they can do the driveway for you, pay a service to do so. Again, take care of your health. If you absolutely have to do it yourself, they're stressing to take it in increments. So maybe you do a little bit, you come back in and you give your heart and your body a rest. Then you go back out, do a little at a time. It'll eventually get done. But again, extremely dangerous, whether it is something, as we said, from you or for someone in your family. If they have heart disease or they have high blood pressure, try to keep them out of it. All right, here's some good news for you and why your tax refund maybe, wait for it, a little more this year. Oh, yeah, we're not talking about less. Love this. Tax season, as you know, is here. Many Americans could see higher refunds this year. The Treasury Department is estimating tax refunds will average $1,000 more per household. Gotta love that. Many filers did not adjust their withholdings when recent income tax breaks began, which may be why the refunds are higher. A new law also boosted the standard deduction for many tax filers. Congress actually boosted it by $750 to $15,750 for single filers and by $1,500 to $31,500 if you are a married couple, but it also expands state and local tax deductions, gives a new break for some seniors. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you file those taxes again from now through April 15th. But I got to, again, we love when we pass along good news to you. So hopefully more money coming your way. All right, we're going to get into sports news and let's talk about the Billikens. We've got some tickets that we bought at a auction about, well, probably a few months back. We bought them at the Yuppie Puppies Forever Gala, and everyone's like, haven't you been yet? They're doing incredible. You got to use those tickets. So we probably need to do so now. SLU has moved up in the AP Top 25 rankings. Congratulations. The poll was released yesterday showing the Billikens at 21, 3 spots higher than the poll released on January 19th. They hit 19 three-pointers against St. Bonaventure on Friday. That tied a school record, by the way. Their 19-1 record ties the school record for the best start through 20 games. Arizona remained the unanimous number 1 team in the AP Top 25 men's college basketball poll ahead of last night's showdown at number 13 BYU. But have you been in a while? I have never been to a Billikens basketball game, and I'm hearing it is such a blast. And if you've not been, then like me, you need to go now since they're doing incredible. So let's find a game with all of you Monica's Maniacs. Let's find a game and go together. I am going to the game tonight. The Blues are in town. They'll be playing the Dallas Stars. The puck will drop at 7 o'clock, and I'm hoping I get a chance to come on to you tomorrow and say that we were their good luck charm and that we can say that they're pulling out a win. I believe some of our other viewers said that they're going tonight as well. So let's cross those fingers. All right. And the National Day of Calendar. So we've been mentioning in the cold temperatures, this is when everybody starts saying, can we get out of this snow, get out of this ice, go somewhere warmer? Well, today is National Plan for Vacation Day, which is always the last Tuesday in January. It's also Vietnam Peace Day. It's the Holocaust Remembrance Day. And for all of you that love chocolate cake, it's your day, National Chocolate Cake Day. All right, I see all of you signing on. Again, remember to tell your family and friends when you tell them to watch the show, give them all the different platforms. Yes, Facebook is our largest with 35,000 followers. We then have YouTube and X and Rumble. We have Instagram. We also have Twitch that we added, and we were on LinkedIn. As I mentioned, I think LinkedIn's got some issues communicating with our particular software. So hoping we can get LinkedIn back. But again, 7 different platforms for you. So for all of you that are on, good morning. Let's go. Christy is on. She's always on first. Kathleen, good morning. Linda, Julie says, I watched Soul on Fire. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. Yes, it's on Netflix right now if you haven't seen it. Good morning to you. Pete, good morning. Karen, good morning. Luann, Stephanie, Rose, where did Monday go? Where did January go, Rose? Linda, so sad about the man from New Baden. I know, just a couple of miles from your sister. Okay, she said the pond is very deep. Pray they can recover him today. Sean got 8 inches of snow in St. Peter's. Kathy, good morning to you. Linda, I shoveled paths around the house and the pool for our Zelda. She was so happy playing in them. I saw something on Instagram about everybody that has small dogs and then needing to put paths for them beyond going to the bathroom so they can still do their zoomies, right? Give them a little maze out there. Terry, good morning. Richard, oh my goodness, how have you been? Good morning, all of you. Feel free to shout out to your community because after all, this is your your show. All right, we're going to take our break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Lydia's house. So, for those of you that have never heard of Lydia's house, today's the day for us to introduce you. If you have, I want you to keep them on your radar and be very aware when you hear friends and family members talking and you hear the aspect that they are in a domestic violence situation. What can we do? There is a huge community and this organization that is there to help. We're going to talk all about it with our guest, Karen Kirk. She will be with us when we return.
Hey guys, I just want to tell you being on the Monica Adams show has just been a delight. It's been a joy. What she's doing for the community is amazing. I'm so proud to be sitting in this blue chair, being honored and honoring the people for the showcase that I'm doing for the Neiman Marcus Black Creatives in the Lou Black History Month Showcase. I want to end this segment with a poem that I wrote. I grew up on the north side. That's where it all started. Dreams, goals, and actions grew within me, and they never departed. You see, my environment was jaded, but that never fazed me, because what my parents instilled in me made my dreams go crazy. Mama was my cheerleader, and Papa gave me the tools. Everything could be yours, they would say. Just make sure you follow these rules. Work hard, don't look back, and keep your mind set on stable. And if you can't find yourself somewhere to sit, create your own table. Thank you, Monica, for creating this table. Take care. Be blessed.
Well, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again to the Real Monica Adams Show. Seeing a couple more comments come in. Good morning, Babs. Hope you're having a great start to the day. And Julie, now we're all jealous. She's going to Puerto Rico. Yes, thank you for buying one of those trips at the Yuppie Puppies Gala. I think we're postponing ours till 2027, but have a fantastic time. All right, if you are just tuning in, we gave you all the news you can use, and now we're going to get into our segment. Let me give you a little background on my guest, Karen Kirk. She is the president and the CEO of Lydia's House, which is a 501c domestic violence agency. Karen oversees the operations and the assets of a $10 million plus organization that provides transitional housing for up to 2 years for abused women and their children who are survivors of domestic violence. And as the CEO of a social enterprise, Karen also led the successful startup and business development of Lydia's Ladle LLC that provides employment opportunities and the ability to develop job skills for the women at Lydia's House, and launched new growth of the 30-year-old organization over the last 14 years. And we're going to talk all about this today. Also, as a community, we always say, what can we do to help? So let's find out. Let's bring Karen on. Karen Kirk, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being a part of us this morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And we're going to talk also, by the way, we were talking before we went on, Lydia's House is also dog friendly. So I'm hoping at some point that Karen's dog will show up. Is she right there with you?
Nope, she's down. I'll grab her. I'll grab her in a little bit.
We'll get her. So Daisy, they just got, what'd you say, 10 weeks? 10?
Yes, she's 10 weeks now.
10 weeks old, and she wants to be my mama. So we're going to let her.
Yes.
Well, Karen actually was at this big celebration that we were at for the launch of It's About Time, the book that a lot of you have ordered. They're in, by the way, and I will be getting them to you and personally signing those. Thank you for purchasing them and supporting these beautiful 35 women who told their story. But even more important, thank you, because a portion of the proceeds go to Lydia's House. So as we find out about Lydia's House, I also want to know, Karen, how did you and Kelly Lamb connect so that you were the benefiting organization?
Yeah, she just reached out to me. She had heard about us in many venues that she had been in, and she reached out and she said, "Would you like to be on a podcast?" And so I absolutely jumped at the opportunity. And when I got there, her and Gordon are just lovely people and so easy to talk to. And we got along great. And we had a really long segment. And that's how it went from there.
I love it. Well, again, doing wonderful work, and for a long time, there's still a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I can't wait to see this segment. I've never heard of Lydia's house," but you've been around for a long time. So tell us how it all, how it became an organization, and then obviously it's grown and grown from there.
Sure. Apologize for one side of my face. I had dental work and now
Oh,
I'm
I
on
didn't even see it.
antibiotics. Oh yeah, it's terrible. So, okay. So Lydia's house is 30 years old and it started with four women, of course, right? That found something in their pastoral church that really bothered them, that women couldn't reach out. Women weren't talking about this, but they knew it was there. So they went out into our St. Louis community, but what they found was completely different than what they thought they were going to come back with. They found out we had a lot of shelters in St. Louis, and we do, and they're wonderful. But they came back, and the shelter said, please don't open another shelter. What we need is some longer term housing for women, because shelters are wonderful. They take those immediate needs and they take care of those women for 30 or 60 days. But if you can imagine, Monica, if you had to leave right now and go pack up your things at your home, you would only have places to go to shelter, but you don't have anything with you.
Right.
The abuser possibly has cut off all of your finances. They've taken everything away from you and you have nothing. So after 60 days, the shelters are that immediate help and they're wonderful. We can't say enough about them here in St. Louis, but they need extra time. So the
Sure.
women came back to their church of maybe 12 people and they decided to move forward and they opened their first duplex for a woman.
Hmm.
They decided to give her 24 months. And so we have up to 24 months of stay at Lydia's house to get back on your feet. And during that time, you're given an advocate. You meet with your advocate when you come and talk with us at Lydia's house while you're still in shelter. And that advocate stays with you as far as providing all the resources that you need, trying to find out what your goals are, because they're women. They get to make their own goals. We don't make those goals for them. We want to know what their path in life looks like and how we can help get them there. So during this time, we have an in-house medical clinic. So we make sure that they get well woman care as soon as they come in, because a lot of them have not had that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of women that are pregnant have never had care for being pregnant either. So we take them along that path and that journey to get to safe, independent living after 24 months.
And we're talking about not only the women that are affected, but then it trickles down to the children as well. You're taking care of these survivors of domestic violence and their children.
We do. Lydia's House is actually the largest transitional housing program in the country that serves domestic violence survivors and their children. We have 50 women at all times and up to 85 children on property. I must say we've never met 85, but we did hit 73 one time. That's a lot.
Absolutely.
Generally, we run right under 50. But it's that unique opportunity, Monica, of these children that have lived in a violent household all of their life. They don't know what a safe environment is. And so that's our opportunity to break the cycle of violence, not only for the women, but for the children who are affected.
And Karen, so again, if you're just tuning in, Karen Kirk is my guest from Lydia's house. So when women and children are in these situations, unfortunately, I've done a lot of these interviews in my 30-year career, the entire time you've been open, and know that when the cameras were off, when the lights were down, that the stories really came. And it was, they're so scared to try to step away from that. They're so scared to tell anyone. Can you go through, for those that are watching, and again, they're scared to say anything to anyone, but they need to hear this and need to know that there is a safe haven waiting there for them. What are they looking for and how do they get out of it?
Sure. What we first think of is that bruise on someone's face. But unfortunately, domestic violence is very quiet. There's so many different types of domestic violence too, and that's why it's so hidden. Of course, the physical can be picked up very quickly, but we're looking at emotional, we're looking at financial, we're looking at isolation from their friends and families. That's generally what you start to see first, is your friend all of a sudden is not coming to meet you on those monthly dinners that you go out to, or she's not wanting to come to little social gatherings where she did before. And that's kind of how most people start picking up on it. Of course, you can see the bruises on their face, on their arms. You can see that their personality is changing in your office place. You can see that they're not the happy go lucky person they used to be. It's all the little minor changes in women that you start to pick up on.
Again,
We
you're go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, so it's really hard to pick up on, but you need to kind of be aware of it and start to ask them if they need to talk. That's the safest thing that you can do. Believe them. Trust what they are telling you. Make them know that this is not their fault. And that's the worst thing that holds them back into this violent relationship. Is most women believe it's their fault, that they've done something wrong, that maybe that abuser just had a bad day and it's going to be better. Things are going to get better.
Yep.
What we know is it generally doesn't. It only worsens. The
Yeah, and
problem
you were just looking at the statistics that Zach put up on the screen, and we're trying to get, just like anything, right? You're trying, one, to prevent, two, you're trying to get to it early before that startling statistic that said
oh,
one in, or did it say three? Zach, can you bring that back up for me for a second? Yeah, that one. Three or more women are murdered by an intimate partner every day, folks. One in four. So just think about you and your girlfriends. One in four women will be affected by domestic violence in their lifetime. And every 9 seconds, a woman is assaulted or beaten. Think about how many times throughout this interview that we're talking about this. Domestic violence, one of the most underreported crimes. 10 million children witness some form of it in their life throughout their year. And domestic violence is the third leading cause of homelessness. Again, think about those startling statistics and then start trying to see, how do you get the discussions going? Because sometimes we just need to try to help. And we always say, Karen, get out of our own way and be looking for things. And you mentioned it's not the
right,
physical, but yeah, if suddenly they're not around you anymore, or you look at the controlling nature, even if someone is around, right? They don't want you out of their sight. It's all
right,
about them controlling you, right?
right. And you can tell that they're not the same person when the abuser's with them.
Yeah.
Those are the parts and pieces that, as women, we all need to be aware of so that we can help our friends and our coworkers. And really, Monica, one in four is not even right. It's one in three.
Oh my goodness.
It's one of the most underreported crime there is. Women don't want to report this. They don't want to feel like they've done something wrong.
Right.
But if we as women don't stand up and start trying to recognize this, to help this, to make people understand that we're not going to tolerate this anymore in our lives, we're sitting back and letting it happen.
So for the person who's actually doing the abuse, you've been doing this now for 3 decades. Do you see certain characteristics that are a common theme in the abuser?
Well, power and control, right? Domestic violence is all about power and control. So, controlling someone's life is very easy to see when you've been friends with someone for a long time, or a coworker that's been in your office for a long time. She can't do this, she can't do that. Maybe they control what she wears and talks to them about how they feel when she wears something. The problem is with cell phones today, that power and control is even larger, right? They can see where you go, they can track you. You may not even know that you're being tracked by that abuser. So there's so many things we need to be aware of.
Again, if you're just tuning in, we're talking Lydia's House. Their mission is to provide domestic violence survivors and their children a safe place to heal, which is just a huge sentence, right? Think about that again, a safe place to heal, a voice for justice, and an opportunity for again for better and sustainable lives. So as you're tuning in, and we might be telling your story, this might sound very familiar to you. As Karen said,
Mhm.
don't be embarrassed by it. You can just imagine how many other women that you know that may have been in this situation. Yeah, I definitely wanted to put that one up on the screen. Call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Or if you're unable to speak safely, you can text START to 88788. And the website, by the way, thehotline.org. Again, please, a place of healing, a voice of hope. So do you also see, Karen, in these situations, addictions to alcohol, to drugs, many other levels?
That's a great question. So, alcohol and drugs don't cause domestic violence. They exacerbate it, right?
Yes.
So we do see that bubble of multiple issues because maybe the abuser made them drink more. Maybe they got them addicted to drugs. I mean, that's part of the power and control in a relationship sometimes. What we do know, Monica, too, and I do want to get this out there, women leave their abuser 8 or 9 times and go back.
Yeah.
8 or 9 times. But what we know is, as Lydia's house and all the domestic violence agencies in the country, every time you go back to the abuser, you're more likely to be killed. It doesn't stop. And so that's what I want women to know. We have about a 93 to a 96% success rate. And people say, what is that? That's getting to safe living back in our community and being part of our community. It's important to us. And they say, where's the other ones? What happened to the other ones? Well, maybe there was drug addiction or alcoholism, and we needed to get them those resources first before we could get into the domestic violence part, keep them safe and get those resources. So that's the important part to know. We're there to help. That 1-800 number is everything, not only for the victims, but for us out in the community to keep ourselves safe too. Because once you become personally involved, the abuser may know that too, and then you're at risk of getting harmed also. So that 1-800 number is everything.
And again, Karen, I'm so glad you brought up the return to the abuser, because that's what I have. And again, I have family members, I have friends that have been in situations like this, and fortunately are thriving today because they were able to get out of it. But that is the number one thing that I heard, either through a boyfriend. I can go both ways, but boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, and they say, okay, I think this time they'll be better. Right? There's just something that person does to manipulate them to believe I've changed and you can come back now.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the scary part. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Again, talking about Lydia's house and how they make a difference. We'll get into that. There's also, we want to mention coming up that there is a night for hope and healing coming up next month that we want you to know about. And for all of you, if you have any questions of how you can help, because as a community, that's what it's all about. We're here to make a difference, right? More with Karen Kirk and Lydia's house when we return. Welcome to the mobile Monica version of the Real Monica Adams Show at my favorite restaurant. There's something about a coffee house that's just very warm and welcoming.
Gives you that sense of community.
What are you most proud of since you've opened it?
I cry easily. I'm thankful for everybody here.
You opened the door during the middle of the pandemic. You got the best Italian restaurant in the United States. Here in St. Louis, you put us on the map. Does it scare you? Go through fear?
Terrifying.
So how do you get past the fear?
We find something to laugh about.
This lady got me in the best shape of my life. I literally didn't know that I could be in shape like that. But the amount that she pours into her clients, and especially whenever you get the one-on-one training, it's mind-blowing. I mean, it was really life-changing. I learned so much about proper form, about nutrition, about just being able to invest in myself. I hired Monica to be my personal trainer, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Yeah, and pass along where people can find us. That was our YouTube channel. Just go to The Real Monica Adams. And also look down below always as we thank our sponsors. We couldn't do it without them, and we couldn't do it without you watching. All right, if you are just tuning in, Karen Kirk is our guest, and she is the CEO of Lydia's House. We promised at some point we'd bring her beautiful baby on. So introduce Daisy to our audience.
Yeah, this is Daisy, and she goes to work with me every day. So she's there if anybody needs her. And we enjoy bringing our dogs in so our children can have comfort when they're talking with our therapist.
Absolutely. So she's 10 weeks old. Tell everybody what kind of dog she is.
She's a sweet English cream golden.
She's beautiful.
Absolutely
beautiful. Well, I do want to mention that, and I wanted you to show her because let's talk about the healing aspects of what dogs can do.
Well, she sure is good for me now going through dental work, but we were really excited almost about 10 years ago to partner with Purina in St. Louis.
Mhm.
And so at first I didn't really think that becoming pet friendly would be a good idea. We have 50 apartments and that's a lot to handle. And
Sure.
then we're going to put pets in there. And so it took about a year for Purina to bring me around. And so we have this great collaboration with them. They provide food and all of the dog toys and supplies and cats that we need, the supplies. They helped make all of our apartments pet friendly. And so when women come in, we're not only ready for them, but we're ready for their pets. But here's the thing, Lydia's house just constantly tries to break the barriers for women. Women stay back for so many reasons. They stay back because they don't want to take their kids out of their school. They don't want to lose their friends. They don't want to disconnect from their family. But here's another barrier. If you talk to women that love dogs and cats and animals, they will not leave an abuser because they don't want their animal to be harmed.
Right.
So when Purina and I came to the fact that I needed to do this, Lydia's house broke another barrier. So now women with pets do not have to leave their pets behind. So they don't have to think about staying back with the abuser.
See, that is fantastic. Well, and we also, you provided us some statistics about the aspect that if we're watching the abuser, they usually will harm a pet, right? There's things that are being done before they are ever harming that person.
They do, and they use it as a power and control against the children. So the children have seen a lot of damage to their animals. We've heard horror stories about what happens to these animals when they leave. So we're saving the lives of survivors, victims of domestic violence, but we're also saving the lives of these pets.
Again, and look at this picture here. You just know that connection. That sometimes is when you're looking at, some of these women that don't have children, they're looking for any kind of hope of something that can make them feel safe and protected again. So I love that you have that. How long, by the way, have you had pets there at Lydia's house?
Almost 10 years now. Almost 10 years, and it's going well. I thought, running an organization like I do, I really thought it would really put a wrench in our gears, but it's not. We just have smoothed right through it because of the help from Purina.
I love it.
And what we really find, Monica, is just that when survivors are holding their animals going through therapy, they open up so much faster, and we're finding that the healing process goes faster too because they relax. They know they're safe.
Look at Daisy's just making me laugh.
She's a mess.
She is so cute. I saw a comment come in earlier from Rose. She said, if I'm not mistaken, I went to an auction for Lydia's house many years ago. It was an awesome night, great way to raise money. So we were just talking about an event that was coming up. She wanted to know, do those still take place?
Oh, Rose, absolutely. We have events throughout the whole year. Unfortunately, our largest gala sells out really quick. We don't have any tickets left right now, but you can still bid on all the auction items on the computer. So make sure you pull that up. We have some amazing things for auction this year. And our theme is Under the Big Top. It's a really fun night. We raise a lot of money for Lydia's house, and we appreciate all the sponsors that help us do this.
Absolutely. So if someone does want to help out by bidding, what's the easiest way for them to do that?
Absolutely. Just go to our website and it'll walk you through the process of getting signed up to do that. And if you're interested in being a volunteer that night, just talk to info at Lydia's house and we'll get back to you.
So lydiashouse.org, at Lydia's House STL, by the way, on social media. So you have tickets already sold out, but is there anything else you need? I know you're probably, you're just a little over a month out, but do you need any other donations for silent or live auction items?
Oh gosh, we love getting gift cards in because that's the biggest fun event that we have that night. And so you can send us gift cards. And if you want to give to Lydia's house, you can go to our website and we have a wish list on there if you would like to help the women and children. Right now, we're not accepting clothing. We are on overload for that because of the holidays, which is wonderful. But please just look at our wish list. All the needed supplies are on there.
Again, and I know that this community is very giving and want to help out in any way they can. Again, looking at your support, giving survivors a second chance, a safe place to begin again starts with you. And we mentioned up to 24 months. So at the very beginning, I talked about not just Lydia's house, but also Lydia's ladle. Tell me about that.
Oh gosh. When I first came to Lydia's house, I realized that women with children were really having the hardest start. They were losing their jobs because the abusers showed up at their jobs. They were just really struggling. They didn't have a penny in their pockets. So it's an interesting long story, so I'll make it quick. But a farmer showed up and said, "Hey, I really want to help with food." And, people that live in poverty, which when you leave, you have nothing, you are. They just eat a lot of carbohydrates. They don't get good food. So he was producing eggs and beef and meat for our families. And one day he just said, "Hey, we need to do something more. What else can you and I do to partner together?" And so we went, it was a funny day because he's like, "I would love to take you to dinner." So I ran down to our financial manager's office and I was like, "Call your husband really quick because you're going to dinner with me because I'm going with the truck driver to dinner and I have no idea who he is." So we went and sat down and we came up with this idea and he said, "What about pot pies?" And I was like, "Oh gosh, are you kidding me? This will not work." But the more I talked to people in St. Louis, which once again, St. Louis is an amazing city, everybody said yes. Ford Hotel Supply said, "Whatever you want, let us know." I went to St. Louis University and talked to all the chefs there. Thought they were going to say no, kind of hoping they were saying no because we could put this away, but no. Everybody was yes, yes, yes. So we ended up with a USDA inspector, which that was shocking, and the legal jargon of everything we needed to do. But somehow, Monica, faith gets you through, and everybody said yes, and we opened this amazing thing called Lydia's Ladle. So women come in, and if you want to see someone that's lost all their self-esteem and self-confidence from being a victim, walk in and put a chef's coat on and start working and see a product go to Straub's that goes to Deerberg's City Greens Market. They're so proud of what they've done. We're building their resumes, we're building their job skills, and we're getting them into a higher paying career.
Oh, who doesn't like a pot pie, Karen?
No, and they're delicious. They're so good.
They look amazing. Okay, I had no idea. So now, as we go to the grocery store, and again, she mentioned several, let's try to support some of those smaller businesses and then continue to give back. Yes, what you're doing, Karen, is giving them purpose, something that they probably felt like they would never have again.
Exactly. And it is amazing the smile that goes on their face. They feel like they are someone once again.
Let me ask, are there peas in that pot pie?
There are.
I don't like peas. Okay, I'll just fish them out.
That's right. You can fish them out, or maybe we'll run a batch without them.
Well, I love that. And again, we keep talking about all these different opportunities that you have to continue to give. So before we wrap up, let's go a little bit deeper into the Lydia's House aspect as they're there. And if they're there for the full 24 months,
Sure.
As you've been doing this for 3 decades now, what I always want to hear is how those lives turned around from day one going in, being the most scared, right? And then being able to leave after 24 months. Talk about that person, how they're evolving, how they're thriving, and all the help that they're getting in those 2 years.
It absolutely amazes me how resilient women are. Women who are victims of domestic violence are some of the strongest women I've ever seen. These are not weak women that this happens to. It can happen to anyone. Watching them walk in with not a penny in their pocket and having faith in us that we can hold their hand in some way and get them to their goals, to watch them move along, to watch them have success, to watch them feel like they can do it on their own. And more importantly, watch the children who walk in completely sadder than you've ever seen someone. And in 1 week, see that child with a smile on his face at our community meal, and you don't even know it's the same child. It's amazing. We kind of are a program that works on 40 hours. So you can go to school for 40 hours, you can do work for 20 hours and go to school for 20 hours, whatever your needs are. But we found these amazing programs, and because of confidentiality, I can't share with you what those programs are.
Sure.
But my goal, as I was walking through the last 14 years there, is how do we find job employment that takes you from a poverty level to middle income? Mm-hmm. Searching, because so many times they're safe when they leave us, but the income level is still low.
Right.
And we have finally found one. We've connected to someone huge in St. Louis who've given us the opportunity to get the in. We've had a couple of women graduate from that program, and they literally have gone from poverty to middle income like that.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
beautiful.
that's our biggest goals. So when you see that happen, we've just changed their life dramatically, not only because of safety, but for the rest of their lives, they can take care of their children and themselves. We've seen so many, like one, I have to be careful, but it was out of state. We occasionally serve out of state because of the safety level of that individual. And they came to us, and it was because of a young child that put a sign up and said, help.
Mm,
So if you see that, please know that it's serious. It's not a child messing around. To
right.
see them come from poverty, not a penny in their pocket, and today all the kids are doing extremely well, graduating from the education systems, and are really giving back to our society. That's what makes us happy.
Absolutely. And you're talking about the transition of, first of all, belief in oneself, because you're so beaten down mentally, physically, spiritually, every level of, this abuser telling you that you're worthless, that you have no value, and they're controlling you, manipulating you on so many levels, and saying you can't go out and get a job, you can't leave the house. They somehow are believing them, and then they have no money, right? Then they are saying, I've got to stay in this because I have nothing.
Right. Right. And that's the transformation when you
Mhm.
see that and they come back and they've actually bought their first car on their own, financed it on their own. We've had a few come back and purchase their first home once they got through all the divorce proceedings and all of that. They've come back, purchased their own home because now they're working and are financially capable of doing so. But I think the sweetest story that's ever happened to me, well, two sweet stories. One is we got a knock on the door, and when you leave Lydia's house, you can come back for resources, you can come back for a community meal, you can call your advocates and still get help. We do not leave them after 24 months. But I got a knock on the door, and it was this mother with this young little girl. She was about 8, and she looked at me and she said, Miss Karen, can you show me where I lived? I remember this being a happy place.
Ah,
And I had no idea what apartment she was, so I had to scurry to a few advocates to find out. And we took her. And for her to say that she remembers us, and I could not remember her because she'd grown up so much, those are the things that keep us going because this is a hard job, especially for our advocates. But I think the sweetest thing is when they come from shelter, Monica, and friends, is when you take a family to their apartment for the first time and that apartment is decorated for them. The St. Louis Blues come in and help us decorate apartments. The Cardinals' wives come and help us on property. But that family comes to the door. And when you have a 4-year-old little boy that opens the door, runs to the kitchen and comes back and says to everyone, Mom, I finally have a toaster. I can have toast again. It breaks us down to
absolutely.
know.
All the things in life that we take for granted, right? The small things that you see these women and children that would give anything to have that safety. And that's what they're getting. Again, with Lydia's house. The last part I did want to ask, Karen, and you just mentioned it, is all of you that take care of these women, take care of these children. You see these stories, then you go back home. You probably give your loved ones a hug, even more of,
Oh,
I'm
yes.
so blessed, right? So, how do you take care of you?
Well, that's the truth, right? Right now, I finally got back to the dentist. It's making appointments. It's like you said, taking care of yourself. But we've had this amazing foundation come in, and I've never seen this happen before. And they've given us a little bit of money to have employee wellness.
Oh,
And
great.
so we've met with all the employees, found out what their needs were, and how could we help them? Because you take on everyone's stories.
Mhm.
It's a deep process. And many times an advocate will only stay in their job for 10 years. And I'm so lucky I have so many long-term employees right now. But yeah, it's hard. And it's after 10 years, it gives you a different sense of what this world is. And that's what I worry about because it's so violent for women. Um, so we're trying our best. But this year I did my New Year's goal for everyone at Lydia's house is to take care of ourselves. So we're all making appointments and things we put off a little bit. So thank you for
Good.
asking that.
No, absolutely. It is a necessity. And then we always like to have this, the positive side and the hope. So from the statistic standpoint, you just mentioned that it wasn't 1 in 4, that it's 1 in 3. I was going to
Mhm.
ask you, in the 30 years, has it gotten better? What part of it has gotten better?
The part of it has gotten better is that women are opening up. Women are saying, this is happening in my lives. Can I tell you it's the numbers are going down? No, they're rampant every single day. But the more we talk about it, the more people like you come on and say, hey, let's talk about this. This is not something to be ashamed about in our lives.
Yeah.
That's what's important, because education is everything to everything in our world. If you don't have education about something, it's not going to change. So we all need to speak up, become more educated about what this is, so that our women, our children, our daughters, our aunts, our mothers, they all can talk and know that it's not them. And I think the more we talk and the more we teach younger children about what this looks like, and the school system needs to understand that that needs to be a part of our children's lives. Of course, grade level, careful with grade level, but still by the time they get in high school, power and control's already started. 1 in 5 girls in high school have already experienced it in their relationship.
Wow, starting way too young. Well, you also just brought up a point in my brain that in the education system, you've got kids that might talk more than the mom will, and then you're hearing things and be able to pass that along to an organization like yourself of, hey, this is happening, and we're hearing little, whispers of this. But
Yes.
have you seen since the pandemic more stepping forward? Because we keep talking about how people found their voice to talk about mental health and how they started saying, I'm not okay. Did you see that a little bit more?
We did. Now, the pandemic isolated women and, victims of
Women,
domestic
yeah.
violence. It's not just women, because women are abusers too. It
Yep.
affects all communities. We say women because we mostly serve women,
Right.
but the COVID made everything so much worse. We had so many calls, we could not keep up with it. We're not even a crisis call line,
Right.
but we were loaded. So once COVID, we all became unquarantined, not a word, but we did. That's when the doors broke down. Many women left their abusers after COVID. So that did open the gates to help a lot of women.
Well, you're doing amazing work, and thank you. I'm so glad that you and I were able to talk at the book launch party, and I was like, okay, we definitely need to get this on the show. I've done stories in the past when I was in my news days, but I hadn't had a chance to have you on. So as we do our recap one more time, we want you to know how you can reach out, again, from a community standpoint, how you can make a difference for the upcoming event that they have, but mainly that the numbers and the website and everything that you need. So it's lydiashouse.org, at Lydia's House STL. And again, if you are the one that is needing that help, there is a phone number that we want you to call as well for those friends and family members that are around, that they are saying, maybe you give that, maybe you leave a brochure or something, and they're constantly able to see it and thinking, maybe you put it in their purse somehow, some way that it's there for them. So this is the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE. So that's 1-800-799-7233. Again, you may be in a situation where you cannot speak, so then you can text START to 88788, and it's a very powerful word, starting the healing, right? Thehotline.org. Lydia's House is not an emergency shelter. That's what Karen was mentioning to us. Again, a place of healing. Karen, to you and to all that are a part of Lydia's House and Lydia's Ladle, thank you for your work. And now my husband is a huge fan of pot pies, so I am now going to look for those at the store.
Yes, Straub's always has them in stock, so you should be able to find them at Straub's easily.
Well, very good. Again, they look really do. I think that might be the best looking pot pie I've ever seen. So Lydia's ladle pies were sold in 2020. Just 2024, 7,745. Keep them being bought so we can continue to help Lydia's House do the wonderful work. Daisy, thank you for making an appearance on the show this morning. Christy said earlier that puppy is adorable. Yes, she is. How big will she get?
55 to 65 pounds.
Oh, that's not too big. She's adorable. She loves her mama.
She does. She's kind of spoiled right now.
Well, thank you again. And again, for those of you that haven't purchased the book yet, reach out to me. I am personalizing all the books that people want me, because a lot of people have asked if I can sign them. Absolutely. So you can email me. I can get you a little bit of a break on the books. If you want a actual paperback or hardbound, with a portion of those proceeds going to help our friends at Lydia's House. Have a beautiful day, Karen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, we'll go one final break. When we come back, we have our devotional, and we're going to talk about Apricot Lane. Thank you to Monica for joining us yesterday morning. We talked about her background. We'll let you know when the Mobile Monica is coming up in February, and I'll let you know the rundown of the rest of the week.
Take it out in that year. 25, 25, 25, 25. Wait, it's a big money tonight. We're going to keep going. Let's go 5. Who wants to go? Sold for $2,000. I love it dramatic, don't you? For 8086. Look, it is getting hot here. Where's Nellie? $8,500. I need 86. 86. 85 is what she has it at. 86. 85. 85 going once. 8,500 going twice. 8,600 he says. She's like, come on, go fast. 87. I need 87. Lift it up. Let's do this. 87. 86. All right, we're going to do it again. $8,600 going once. Does anybody believe the game is done? I don't think so. I don't think so either. 87. How about 88? 8,800. She has it for 87. We're going to do it again. 87 going once. Oh, look at this. We put it down. You might have it. 8,700 going twice to her. She's got it for $8,700. We're going to 64. He's talking to his buddies. They 64? Oh, he said, I think unless somebody else wants to jump in the game over here. 63, we're looking for 64. I'm going to go 63 once. Do you think the girls have it? Or are the guys going to steal it away? 63 twice. They say the girls have it. 63 twice. The girls have it! Congratulations. I can feel it. Yep. All right, $1,900. He's like, nope, make it work for it. How about 2,000? Keep talking. He says yes. He says yes. You want to have a game? Yes. Invite us all over for Super Bowl and have that sound bar. Twice. All right, that was it. Congratulations. Right there, $10,000. Make sure that I say your number. 178 at the $2,500 level. Who else can get the $2,500? Let's hope these babies out.
Well, welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. I was cracking up looking at all of those events. And again, I am blessed for all the organizations that book me for MC and auctioneering. I've been doing it for 2 decades or more now. That one, though, makes me laugh because I can hear where I lost my voice. That happens a lot. And I would need like 24 to 48 hours before I'd go back on and go, oh my gosh, I got to go back on the show and I don't have a voice. Thank you. We've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably millions at this point. And this is the busy season. So I've got a lot of events coming up. I think the first is in the first week of February, St. Raphael, the Archangel. We've got Incarnate Word. We've got Care STL coming up, Stray Paws, so many more. Again, so if you are looking for an MC or an auctioneer, shoot me an email, info@therealmonicaadams.com, and let's make a difference together. All right, I told you about Apricot Lane. Yesterday, we found out the background about Monica Brand, who opened up Apricot Lane, the only one in our immediate area. They're in O'Fallon, Missouri, and our Mobile Monica is coming up on February 10th at 4 p.m. If you have not been, they're located again in that Winghaven area. Their location is 3028 Winghaven Boulevard at Apricot Lane, O'Fallon, Mo. So that's where you can find them on social media. Again, our Mobile Monica will be 4 p.m. And I know a lot of you yesterday were like, I want to go shop there. Well, make it February 10th when you come shopping, if you can, because we'll be together for this Mobile Monica at 4 o'clock. What's a Mobile Monica? That's when we take the show on the road and we bring it to your business, an event, whatever. Looking forward to that one. And there's so many more. We are going to be shopping together at Mary Tuttle's in Chesterfield. That one's coming up in a couple of months. We will be at Oak and Front in Washington, Missouri coming up in May. We have a really beautiful feature that we're doing on the Excel Center, which is affiliated with MERS Goodwill. We talked today about changing people's lives. Wait till you hear. Actually, our story is coming up on Thursday as we give the background on the Excel Center. And then we're going to go to the Excel Center. Really beautiful piece that we'll do on them, kind of like we did with Principia. In 3 years, we've done so much. So you dream it, we'll make it happen. Okay. All right. In our devotional. So yesterday we read from Jesus Calling from Sarah Young, thanking all of our viewers giving us these devotionals besides the ones that we have on set, which are the 100 Days to Freedom book. So let's see what Jesus chose for us today. Generous God, you are a God of both intricate detail and overflowing abundance. When I entrust the details of my life to you, I'm often surprised by how thoroughly you answer my petitions. The biblical instruction to pray continually helps me feel free to bring you all my requests. And I've found that the more I pray with a hopeful and a watchful attitude, the more answers I receive. Best of all, my faith is strengthened as I see how precisely you respond to my specific prayers. Just think about what we talked about today, right? I'm sure those women and those children prayed a lot. I rejoice that you are infinite in all your ways because abundance is at the very heart of who you are. I don't need to fear that you will run out of resources. I can come to you in joyful expectation of receiving all I need, sometimes much more. I'm so grateful for the bountiful blessings that you shower on me. Even the hardships in my life can be viewed as your blessings. They train me in perseverance, transforming me and preparing me for heaven. There it is. I always look for the chill. It just happened because I went there and thought of the women and children involved in what we talked about today. Trying to see hardships as blessings. It's very difficult in the moment. So I come to you with open hands and heart, ready to receive all that you have for me. In your great name, Jesus, amen. So if you want to go deeper into scripture and you open your Bible, go to Psalm 36, verses 7 and 8, or Psalm 132, verse 15. It'll talk a little more about this. We always love to bring faith into play and give you hope for a better life, right? Okay, so we talk about what is coming up for the rest of the week. Richie Callison, he is a musician that is from St. Charles County. He was in LA for a long time, but he wanted to come back. So he's playing here now. We're going to get a chance to hear his new single and hear about his life. He has ties to Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. It's super cool. So if you're a rocker, you're going to love tomorrow's show. Thursday, again, this really beautiful backstory on Excel Center with MERS Goodwill. And then on Friday, Foodie Friday, is with Chuck Gillentine, the owner of Defiance Ridge, and his chef, Chef Chris. Cannot wait to see what we'll be cooking up for a Foodie Friday. So that's what's coming up for you for the rest of the week. Thank you all so much for watching live. And if you had to jump on and off and you come back and watch on replay, if you have any questions or comments for our guest, be sure to drop them in the comments and I'll make sure that my guests see those. Good morning, Ron and Stephanie. You are so welcome. She said, thank you for bringing Lydia's house on. Great show today. Hope everyone has a blessed day. Yes. Stay warm. All right. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Until then, remember, believe in yourself. You deserve a better life and get out of our own way. Make sure we look someone in the eye, give them a compliment, but at the same time as what we talked about today, make sure we're listening, be really good listeners so that we can maybe get help for someone to get out of a situation like that. Pete, you're welcome very much. One of the things that we always say is to believe in yourself and show kindness to you and everyone around you. Be kind. God bless.